Saurav happens to be my co-equivalent. They were POWs, and whenever anything happened to the Pakistani soldiers, we had given them a decent burial, a soldier's burial, including the last salute. The Navy was so prepared in terms, if at all the war was taken into the oceans, this is what they will get.
Welcome to Prachand Talks, a podcast by Irvin Kurana.
So, first of all, welcome to Prachand Talks, and thank you so much for sparing time for this session.
Yeah, thanks so much, Irvin. Lot of, time was an issue actually, but
Okay,
glad that we could make.
thank you so much. So, sir, before we actually start, would you like to say something to the viewers or for the viewers?
Uh, yeah, I really admire Irvin and Prachand Talks because you have been following it up, and it's not easy. It's not easy for both of us. We all are working professionals, and it's very important that such talk should also come out, and that is the entire motto of you know getting things to the audience. And there are so many people, though, so many youngsters who want to know about things, and we are just a medium. It's not about the person who's going to answer these questions, or I'm just a medium. I happen to be here. I happen to be lucky to wear that uniform, and whatever I am today, I'm sure I represent a group of people, in uniform, and you know and whatever I'm going to express, that is purely my own view. And it doesn't say that this may be the view of Navy or Army or Air Force, nothing like that. It's a personal view, it's a personal interview. So wishing Prachand Talks all the best for the future, and I hope you bring out many such episodes uh, with people who matters to the people. So that is what I would say. Thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so before I literally start with the questions, like as we know, that you, sir, since beginning, like you were very much fascinated while about donning whites, the white uniform of Navy, and you gave your first shot to NDA, where unfortunately, for starters, you were declared unfit. And when you were in third year of your engineering, right, you found out that you could also apply to a short service commission. And that was the time when you cracked it and you got commissioned in 1999, January, and you served for 10 long years. So my very first question for the very first section, that is how come Indian Navy, I would like to ask, so what brought in the patriotic fervor in you to actually serve the nation in the uniform?
Yeah. So to answer this, I think English is the medium should be English or Hindi or what?
So both are fine.
Okay. So
Yes,
we'll
sir.
mix for both the audiences, Hindi
Sure,
and
sir.
English. So yeah, you as you rightly said, that patriotic fervor. I'm sure all of us are patriotic. All of us, irrespective of whether we wear uniform or not. All of us contribute to the growth of our great nation, India, Bharat, what we call. Uh, those who wear uniform are much closer to serving, So the degree of closeness for us to access things are a bit easier compared to, each one of us who contribute at various levels. Uh, so yes, part of the great nation. So when I was growing up in school days, see, what we are today and those days, every generation is different. Every era is different. Every decade is different. Uh, so as we speak, when I was growing up, I'm a 76 born um, person. So I'm 46. I'll complete 46 this December, 47 this December rather. So when I was growing up, the avenues were very less. And I come from Mumbai. I'm born and brought up in a suburb in Mumbai. And thanks to internet and all these days, at least the youngsters today are aware of the Army, Navy, Air Force. Back those days, the only medium for you to know something about Army, Navy, Air Force was either newspaper or television. There was no third medium available, or radio, to that extent. Now everything is at the tip of your finger, right? If you want to know something about Army, Navy, Air Force, just Google it, वो सामने आ जाएगा. But those days things were different. Only career options were either do your graduation, you go into teaching, you go into if you do further engineering, you become an engineer. If you do medical, you become a doctor. There were very limited professions. And in a suburb and all where I live, even today in Mumbai, the craze for Army, Navy, Air Force is not that what we see in the other cities, right? Even today. Those days too, it was totally different. Nobody was knowing that Army, Navy, Air Force can be a career. Nobody was knowing. सबका यही मानना था कि फौज में वही जाते हैं ना कि who doesn't know anything. यानी पढ़ाई में ठीक नहीं होते लोग चले जाते हैं करके. But trust me, joining armed forces is not a easy thing. You can ask who better to know, other than me, because when I went to NDA and then thereafter medically unfit and things like that. So growing up, life was tough, first of all, because in suburbs in Mumbai, as I said, growing up was very difficult. I grew in a very humble background and things like that. So my attraction was armed forces को पता भी नहीं था 9th standard तक क्या है करके. But my attraction was towards guns. I wanted to be a gangster because I have my chacha was a gangster, so I wanted to be a gangster because typically you love that life, fame ka, wherever you go there are people around you, and I was actually flabbergasted with the way those people live. But yes, my mother was the greatest change maker in our life, all three of brothers. And she knew that, if I leave the kids like this, they will definitely get inclined to what should not have happened. And my father, again, a nice person. Both my parents, I'm so lucky that they stay with me even today. My father eventually was into, whatever career he started. He started career as a taxi driver, and then he became an electrician, and then eventually became a union leader. So that the communism was in his blood, being a Malayali also. So mother knew all this. Mother knew that if I don't take care of these three guys, they may also move towards all those things, right? And she never wanted that to happen. And the first closest tryst with the armed forces came because I live very close to a cantonment, a naval cantonment, in Mumbai. And this is the cantonment where civilians stay, the naval civilian stay. A very pretty place, बहुत प्यारा सा जगह. And we used to live in the adjacent, outside the colony, outside the cantonment. And naturally, बचपन से देखते आए, we were always curious कि ये लोग कौन होते हैं अंदर करके. They have so much of place. And when we used to live in a small matchbox types house, what we typically call Mumbai mein chawl bolte, slum bolte. And we used to wonder, these people used to live in, the buildings and things like that. And so we were very, very curious ki hota kya andar pura. And they had a marketplace, typical cantonment. They had a huge ground, they had schools, they had swimming pool, they had community center, they had parks and everything. And here it was space crunch, always space crunch, The ground and also was a very difficult affair itself. So we were always curious. हम लोग क्या करते थे कि Sundays and all जब छुट्टी होती थी, we used to know how to trespass inside. हमें पता था पूरा boundary was huge boundary. We used to know कि अंदर कैसे जाते हैं. And once you are in, if you get caught, you're gone. और अगर नहीं पकड़े गए तो you play and come back, And we believed, I believed in that attitude कि ठीक है 20-25 बार खेलने गए 20 बार खेल चुके, 5 बार पकड़े गए, तो that works, that equation works, you know. At least you get that chance to play in such a huge ground, cricket खेल सके. That was the attitude, and we did get caught couple of times. Once when we were caught, that was the change. Uh, that got the change in my life, you know. When we were lined up, three of us got caught. Rest of them managed to run away. हम लोग सब lined up हुए, and there a naval gypsy comes. You know, this is how the change happens. You know, so I'm a believer of a power. मैं भगवान में भरोसा रखता हूँ. You know, not a fanatic, but I believe there is a superpower, and that superpower guides us. You know, he or she is the one who decides our destiny. जो होना है होगा लाइफ में. तो मेरे लिए शायद वो मोमेंट वो था. This guy comes out of a gypsy, एकदम पूरी फिल्मी टाइप, and we were lined up. 3 बच्चे थे, youngsters, you know, and he comes out, shoes out first, and others were waiting. जो foremen वगैरह थे वहाँ के, they were waiting outside कि साहब आए करके. And very rarely they used to come because this was a civilian colony, so they used to stay. The naval provost used to be away, like in Kolaba and all, but they used to come for rounds very rarely. And us din, unfortunately, it was probably for my destiny that would have happened. So shoes pehle bahar aaya, white shoes, the buckskin, what we call, and then a white socks and a white pant, and you know, a white felt with a steel buckle, and white shirt and golden epaulet. And he was carrying, being a provost, he was carrying a danda in his hand, you know, and then the goggle, typical. And he was a lieutenant, you know, do fiti thi, and a cap, pea cap. And the entire personality was so mesmerizing, so mesmerizing. And I was like so curious. I did forget what punishment would be there again. And I was like, you know, upar se niche I was seeing this guy. That was the first change which happened to me ki jana hai फौज में, you know. And then parallelly, Fauji serial aati thi Shah Rukh Khan ki.
Yes.
So that was again one trigger. You know? So these two happened parallelly, and I was very inclined pehle to join the army because of the serial Fauji. And parallelly, this incident happened, and my inclination changed. तभी मुझे पता चला कि फौज मतलब आर्मी नेवी एयरफोर्स है, तो यू कैन कोई भी ज्वाइन करो तो फौज ही होगा. बट वाइट, that incident made me ki white would be my destiny, and that is how the quest for that thing started.
Okay.
Eventually, as I said, I come from a small school also, so there were no one to guide in terms of armed forces as a career. किसी को नहीं पता था वहाँ पर. Then you know, an incident happened where मेरे एक दोस्त था स्कूल का ही, उसका uncle had come on छुट्टी.
Okay.
And then he vaguely said कि since you want to know about the Army Navy Air Force, my uncle is from Navy, but I don't know what rank he is. मुझे कुछ नहीं पता. हम चलते हैं मिलने करके. So somehow we managed to meet him, and that was like 1 hour far. We went there, and eventually, as I said, कि वो एक सुपर पावर होता है, वो भगवान होता है. Probably for me, everything was getting aligned, you know.
Okay.
That person turned out to be a naval officer, you know, naval officer. नहीं तो सी कोई भी ग्रेड या कोई भी रैंक या कोई भी ये मिलता तो probably my orientation to would have been like that. अगर एक नेवल सिविलियन मिलते या एक नेवल सेलर मिलते या आर्मी का कोई मिलता या एयरफोर्स का कोई मिलता, बट वो नेवल ऑफिसर ही मिला. And he was a senior guy, a lieutenant commander. Then he guided us. He guided us on. We were very curious. बहुत सारे questions पूछ रहे थे उनसे. And he guided on how to join the Army Navy Air Force, the gateway to that. And that
Okay.
gateway to that was first was the National Defense Academy. If you want to join the officer grade, INA, NDA, INA exams you have to write, and then he said it's a tough exam, and then he mentioned us there are books which are available. So I remember purchasing a book called Pathfinder publication. That was the first time I came to know ऐसे ऐसे होता है. And uski baad, I was a above average student, decent in studies in the 9th, 10th standard, and I prepared for that. Exams are pretty tough. NDA exams, as you know, it's one of the toughest exams you will face. NDA INA.
Yes, sir.
NDA तभी INA का choice था, फिर भी मैंने INA नहीं लिया तभी.
Okay.
I gave NDA and result आया बाद में, return, I cleared the return exam, and then I went for SSB, Service Selection Board, which is a 5 days affair, 5 days interview. Once I reached there, I was totally बोलते हैं ना, बहुत inferiority complex आ गई, because people who come there, students who come there, they were spick and span, immaculate, एकदम well dressed, and probably from the 4G background, most of them, And I was like, okay, शायद मैं misfit हूँ, because ढंग के कपड़े नहीं थे, एक जोड़ी कपड़ा था, जूते. I was observing the behavior pattern of them की, and they were very, एक दो लोग थे एकदम smart थे, सभी लोग उनके इर्द गिर्द घूम रहे थे, they knew many things, being from the um, फौजी fraternity, but the confidence was high. मैं बोला देखते हैं ना, करके आए हैं तो देखते हैं करके. And then the 5 days happened. I was like, जैसे हम SSB में बोलते हैं ना, you have to be true to yourself, and that is what you should be, like an open book. जो है वो है, And whatever questions came in the next 5 days, whatever a round of interviews or things came, I was pretty open. I told them, this is what I am. I belong to, where I come from. I come from a humble background. I live in a chawl, and my chacha is a gangster and things. So that probably caught their attention. They were interested in knowing more about it. And probably they would have also thought, then why you want to come to armed forces? So that answer was there, the love for whites and the love for guns and things like that. So when eventually on the 5th date, when the results were announced, so I think 6 of us got cleared, and 5th bib number was mine, the chest number. And it was a joyous moment for me, because हम तो कभी सोच भी नहीं सकते थे, because coming from there. Subsequently, I called home and said, things are done. I was not knowing that what is going to come in the future. अब आने वाला क्या है 5 दिन में. There was this 5 days medical, which happened in the 4 days, 5 days medical, depending on the availability. And in the medical, I think last day, I still remember the last day, first 4 days was good. A bus used to come, take us, and उसके बाद SSB के और batches आते हैं. So you wear a red chest number because you are selected now. Everyone looks up at you. जो भी cadets वहाँ आते हैं, दूसरे candidates आते हैं, like, oh yeah, they got selected. So we are also on a cloud 9 कि हम select हो गए. On the 5th day, when the medical doctor, the eye doctor, eye specialist, whatever we call, he checked me, and then he said there is an issue with your eyes. Probably that won't match the requirement for NDA. And I was not knowing, as I always say in my podcast, that even today I don't wear specs. I don't have an issue with my vision, but I don't know that day what happened. Even I don't know. And I was medically rejected. They gave me a chance to appeal, but when I came home, our financial condition was really tough those days. So to go to Delhi and all was a bit difficult, And then my father said, okay, forget, probably that is what destiny is, not meant for you. Had I appealed at a higher place, I think I would have made it, That is what everyone say, even after so many years, whenever I'm talking to in any podcast or any senior officers, everyone says that you could have made it, because see, later I got selected for the Navy. But yes, destiny thi. That is how the journey started. So life was tough. It was a like a sinusoidal wave, just bolte hain na, ups and down and ups and down. And here was a down when I came back. So ये journey थी पहले part, and then I came back, and what next was the question, because marks ढंग के थे, So I wanted to pursue engineering, and father, engineering की fees थी 4,000 रुपए. Father was not having that much money those days, and I applied for a scholarship through an NGO. They saw everything, and probably, my case was recommended by some local guy, and they sponsored my education. Both year part education was sponsored by them. I went to hostel engineering. First 2 years was really difficult for me because I was not able to cope up with the fact कि मैं नहीं जा रहा हूँ इंडिया, and then with पढ़ाई में भी वैसे ही हुआ. First time in my life I failed. Out of 8 paper I failed in some 5 papers, which was a disaster. Like 8 से 5 जाना. Only happy thing was कि most of them failed in the college. सभी 5 6 लेके केटी बैठे थे.
Yes, sir.
So you feel happy when so many people fail. At the same time, you feel sad कि first time life में ऐसे हुआ.
Yes, sir.
And second semester was not a great thing. वो भी वैसी था. वहाँ भी कुछ 4 5 पेपर रह गए. And then I carried backlog. Bombay University helps, that they allow you to carry backlog. जितना जल्दी next year push करो. So when we went into second year, third semester, again things were not, because now goal नहीं था life में. There was no goal. आगे क्या, engineer बनेंगे ठीक है, right? And when I was in fifth semester, that is third year, first semester, that is the time college put up a notice. So job
Okay.
वाले उसमें, and joined the Indian Navy as a short service tech officer, I remember.
Okay.
और उसकी requirement थी कि 4 सेम में first class चाहिए, last 4 सेम you need first class. And अब goal मिल गया, there was a goal, but only challenge was to get first class, because अभी
Okay.
तक तो fail होते आए थे. And fifth semester I gave everything in that, because 2 साल में जो नहीं किया था, मुझे लगा अभी justice करना चाहिए, because you want to appear for that SSB.
Right.
And when the result came, I had got 61%. Backlogs भी बहुत सारे सब clear हो गए थे, Then sixth semester I got 64%. Seventh I got some 67. And in the 8th semester I was among the first 3 in the college toppers. So that is the power of goal. That is the power of having goal. The idea was not to top the college or anything. Everyone was congratulating, but my idea was to appear for the interview, And I said this also when I think the management was congratulating on being in the first 3. I was saying, okay, fine, but मेरा मकसद ये नहीं था. मेरा मकसद था कि Navy का interview बैठ सकूं. Subsequently, I went for SSB again, SSB interview, and 5 days का interview I cleared again. Because एक बार आप clear होते हो ना, तो attitude is what they search for, and that you have already proved once. So the selection was easy. Bib number was called again. Now the dreaded part, 5 days medical. 4 दिन तक सब ठीक था. 5वें दिन वही issue. Eyes का issue आया. But this time the officer who was there, he was benevolent, वो बोला कि यार ठीक है, border case हो, but I think that should not stop you from doing your activity when you join. So he had a look. He had, again, as I said in the first part, I believe in a power, the
Yes, sir.
destiny to happen, and that happened. And when the merit comes, so I was all India rank 4 in that merit. That is how that journey from Mumbai suburbs to the Naval Academy, the gate of Naval Academy. And so that dream of wearing a uniform was getting closer when I joined the academy. So only good part about short service commission is that the day you join academy, you are commissioned. You may not get your stripe, but you are commissioned officer, a cadet, but a commissioned officer. So the day we join, we become an officer, but after training, you get your stripe with a backdated seniority. So yeah, so mine was 4th January 1999, and that day remains forever. So
Exactly.
this is the first part of my journey.
Okay. So like when you got inducted and you were actually you were going through training, so एक होता है ना सर कि लोगों को लगता है कि एक ये वाला रेजिमेंट में I should go, or like you were from Marcos, so कभी आया कि मुझे Marcos ज्वाइन करना है?
एक छोटा सा करेक्शन है. I was with the Marcos, not a Marcos. So that correction is there.
Okay, sorry.
So yeah, so I'm a technical officer.
Okay.
A technical officer after training. So I had various postings. I'll let you know in the questions subsequently, since you had asked this. So जैसे as you grow up in service as a junior term, जब आप शिप पे थे और बेस में, so Marcos is the big thing for any one of us. जैसे हम मार्कोस ऑफिसर्स और मार्कोस को देखते हैं, दे आर मतलब एलीट लॉट होते हैं, यू नो. दोस डेज ब्लैक यूनिफॉर्म पहनते थे एंड वेरी इंप्रेसिव. मेनी ऑफ देम अलग ब्रीड, यू नो. इवन टुडे व्हेन आई से इट्स अ डिफरेंट ब्रीड. एंड अपने को था कि यार ज्वाइन करना चाहिए, यू नो, आई शुड ट्राई दिस. बट आई न्यू कि समवेयर being a short service technical, that too, chances are very difficult. Even if I opt, they may not allow me because of this. But as I said again, that destiny जिसको बोलते हैं ना, कुछ होना है. If not a Marcos guy, but then you spend time with them. So I was posted in my second posting. I was posted in a naval base in Visakhapatnam.
Okay.
Which was a technical base which handles missiles and things like that. So I'm a missile specialist, Russian missile specialist. Incidentally, that also hosts Marcos East there. It's a base for Marcos East. So the technical base and Marcos East were together, you know.
Okay.
And that was the tryst. And I spent 2.5 years there, very closely with the Marcos, because same mess में रहते थे, same ground हम यूज करते थे. PT morning I used to many a days, because bachelor थे, young थे, so I used to train with them, you know, sports उनके साथ खेलते थे and so many things. तो वहाँ का जो एक officer in charge था मार्कोस का, he had said कि उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि why don't you apply for it, you know. मैंने बोला कि सर short service है, they don't allow. बोला कि कर दे तू, देखते हैं करके. So I applied for Marcos. And as expected, NHU turned it down, saying कि your short service. See, क्या होता है ना, I was chosen for a certain thing, short service technical. And as such, इतनी crunch होती है फौज में, you know, लोग मिलते नहीं है. So they were very difficult for them to part with me in technical branch. उन्होंने बोला कि नहीं यार, आप short service हो, so we will not allow. Had I been a permanent commission officer, probably I would have got that chance. And yeah, so good part was I was with them. I know each one of them closely. Abhi jo current senior lot hai, who would be taking the majority of decision in the Marcos. They are like one course senior, two course senior, some few are juniors. And so that Marcos ka jo instinct or blood hai, so that's why I'm running distances now. I just finished 89 kilometers run in South Africa, and believe in working out, believe in being in fit. वो journey वहां से आई, you know. And unofficially तो बहुत कुछ किए हैं, which I cannot mention here. Marcos की training के साथ, you know, I was lucky that जो भी थे वहां पे I could see them closely, do some things with them. So this was the tryst with being there. Later life में in one of those postings, I was posted in a technical posting, Naval Dockyard Bombay. So Naval Dockyard Bombay has one center, technical center, who calls themselves as commandos, technical commandos, and they wear a commando badge here because of their fastness of work and things. They are called technical commandos. So I happen to head them. I happen to wear a badge, a technical commando badge, if you see my uniform. So ये भी destiny थी, you know, कि वहाँ नहीं जा पाए तो at least wear a badge named commando. So वैसे, that was the story.
The taste was very much similar. At least commando.
Exactly. Yeah, at least नाम के तो कमांडो तो मिल जाता है ना. ये थी जर्नी.
सर वहाँ पे एक इंसिडेंट हुआ था, लाइक मैं आपने पहले भी बताया हुआ है कि यू न्यू इनफ जब आपको ये बताया गया आपके सीनियर के थ्रू दैट वी आर गोइंग एट अ वॉर, एंड दैट वाज द टाइम ऑफ कारगिल, राइट? आई जस्ट वांट टू नो, लाइक व्हाट वर योर थॉट्स? क्या एक बीइंग अ न्यू ऑफिसर अपॉइंटेड रिसेंटली, क्या थॉट्स थे? लाइक यू हैवंट वेंट टू अ वॉर बिफोर, इट वाज द फर्स्ट टाइम फॉर यू.
Yeah, so exactly 24 years back, exactly the same time, June May, as we speak, June, July, May. This was the time when Kargil was at peak. Or was it peak? Or after our some sub courses, जैसे हम वायो कोर्स बोलते हैं, 3-4 वायो कोर्स हो चुका था, and then we were sent to ship because ship training was to come, but we were sent a bit ahead, probably anticipating that young guys, young officers who are coming out, they should get some exposure. करके probably Navy's vision would have been that. So when I landed in this ship, I was not aware what's happening, करके, and where we are going. I had come for training. कि जहाज देखना है and एक महीने की training होती है जहाज पर. But incidentally, this ship was going to war. And next day morning, मैंने देखा हलचल बहुत है. Unlike the normal scenario, ship was prepared for so many things. It was carrying missiles and things like that, which is unless you are going for some thing, you don't carry the live missiles, right? मुझे वो सब पता नहीं था तभी. Next day morning, when commanding officer called me for breakfast, they have a tradition in Navy. When a junior officer join or any officer join, CEO would like to have breakfast with him, know a bit more about him, right? Him or her. That is the time he told me that, do you know, son, where we are going? I said, no, sir, I just came for training. He said, no, we are going for a war, and we will be in the forward area. So the reaction at that point of time when I was having a breakfast, I was stunned. The first, when he told me, जो भी omelette है, जो भी कुछ खाता रहा होगा, I paused for a moment, saying, reflecting back on my life, यार मैं तो भी 22 साल का हूँ, 22-23 होने वाला हूँ, and then you are asking me to go for a war along with you. So the first emotion was fear. Fear होता है ना, human emotion ही वैसा है, fear होता है, fear for various factors. It's not that the physical fear कि मारेगा मर जाओगे. It's the fear कि there is a family whom you have to carry and so many things. Emotional fear जिसको बोलते हैं ना. But after some time, the euphoria took over when I came back to my wherever I was staying in the ship. When I was pondering over, okay, you are the lucky lot. जहाँ for join करते, you are able to see an action, right? So the other emotion took over, the euphoric emotion took over. And the next, whatever time I was there in the ship, it was in the front area. We were patrolling up and down, and at some point of time, we thought we will attack Karachi. But that was the peak, and by that time, army has done their job, and they had almost managed to throw them away from the Kargil sector. And because of the diplomatic pressure and other thing, by the government and intervention of so many other agencies, finally Pakistan has to succumb and they have to, sort of surrender ki bas ho gaya types. It is done. So Navy played a huge role in terms of Operation Talwar, wherein 33 ships of Indian Navy were on the mouth of Karachi, जिसको बोलते हैं ओखा के आसपास, which is one missile away. Karachi was just one missile away, and we created the diplomatic pressure. We created the international pressure, the warfare. जिसको बोलते हैं. This was the first war which was covered live by media, and we also ensured that we gave that feed to media. Every day there was a press conference by the service chief, all three of them. Every day there was a debrief, so that the world is aware, our nation is aware what are the Army Navy Air Force doing. And this created huge pressure from every quarters. And I believe Pakistani general later had admitted they were just left with 6 days of fuel and things in their country. this probably was one of the reasons, along with various other reasons, that they decided to surrender.
So, if I'm not wrong, the basically we Indian Navy got so close to the Karachi port that it was just 18 nautical miles away from it, right?
True, very true.
Okay.
And few of the ships were a bit away, maybe closer to Okha, which would have
Okay.
been in terms it was called 350 kilometers, and many of these ships were closer, much closer. So we had a strong pattern of deploying the ship. The entire
Right.
Western Command and the Eastern Fleet was also moved to join the Western Fleet. That
Okay.
was the prowess which we showed, and under the leadership, various leadership. So this was the thing which we had created. You know.
So,
So
like,
yeah, so probably 1971. I'm sure everyone is aware what Navy did. In the naval history, that's a war which was very, very important thing in the history of Navy, which defined Navy, which gave Navy an opportunity to show their prowess. And then we were to repeat that in a much bigger way in 1999. Things would have, if the diplomatic things would have failed, Pakistan would have been an history probably.
so as you mentioned, diplomatic, right? The term diplomatic. So, Indian Navy targeted Pakistan through diplomatic and trade front, right? What else was the actual the approach besides targeting them through the trade approach? Was
No,
it a
so the
block?
entire intention was to only do this, creating a pressure and creating so much of using the warfare, information warfare as the mechanism to give. It was not a pseudo feedback, of course. It was a real time feedback to the media what we were giving and telling Pakistan. And Pakistan never expected uh, this sort of action from the Navy. Incidentally, when the service chiefs meeting were called before Operation Vijay, or when Operation Vijay was to happen, uh, the naval chief was the first one to say that let's attack. You know,
Okay.
that is what you would read in his book also. He was the first one to say let's go all out, and uh, Pakistan never expected. The Navy was so prepared in terms, if at all the war was taken into the oceans, this is what they will get. And that is why they limited themselves to the mountains, the Kargil and the other sectors over there. So that was the pressure which we built in. And yes, we were all our forces, all units of Navy were ready. That is the submarines or the naval aircrafts or the special forces. All of them were ready for anything which was going to come. But I think they lost a mental game already. They had told their ships to be back in the harbor, not to venture out. In fact, we arrested one of the North Korean ships who were carrying the missile elements to Pakistan. We warned all the merchant ships not to try doing things which will, affect them. So that was the province of Indian Navy.
So I'll jump to that Korean ship that was acquired, and basically they were for illegally shipping missiles. There were around 200 missiles that they were shipping, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
missile parts actually.
Missile
Missile parts.
parts.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but before that, a question to you is like there came a statement from Pakistan that they had only 6 days fuel left.
True.
So this was like right before when they actually admitted and they stepped back, or they were still charging and more troops of them were heading.
No, yeah, so this was not at all said then.
Okay.
This
Okay.
came later, very, very
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Not a direct admission by anybody, but later there were three instances when people, the senior rank people, the person who was leading them, and subsequent others admitted See, publicly, they were not ready to admit that 6 days ka, because nobody wants to admit, right? And subsequently, it came out in various memoirs and other things.
Right. So like we know that there are sensitive points, right, where Pakistan could have attacked, and had Navy not been there, where like all those points which are covered by Indian Navy, what all uh, the damage would have been done in Indian territory.
If we go back to 1965, correct? So when the 1965 war happened, uh, Navy was not much prepared compared to us. Pakistan Navy had submarines and other things compared to us.
Okay.
And as an aftermath of 1965, Pakistani aircraft attacked Okha, Okha airstrips, and they had inflicted some damage. Though the ships were not attacked because ships moved out before that, but they were installations which were attacked by Pakistan in 1965. And that is why we realized how important things are. So our defense budget was increased that time from a certain amount to X amount into X into 10 times, They knew this is the point which is strategically important, how important Okha, Dwarka and all will be, right? So that was done in 1971. And all the assets, when we came to 1999, our assets were mostly Bombay based, the high seas and the Bombay High, what we call, where we extract the oils, and there are so many oil rigs and other things. Mumbai as a city itself. So this was our scare. If Pakistan had got the edge, had they upped their game before us in the seas, probably this would all be the places they would target. So that's why we deployed Coast Guard, we deployed, the local, in Mumbai itself, the local fishermen community, and so many people were active throughout. The high seas or the Mumbai High was protected round the clock, and Okha was given a special, since most of our ships were there, Okha was the point which was strategically important to us. So yes, we were prepared in all sense, taking a cue from 1965.
Okay. So, like you said that the local fishermen were also active, है ना? So,
True.
उस case में, like, what was it like? A bolo was run, yeah, they were acting as a sources that they could inform Navy कि कहाँ से कुछ infiltration होने के chances लग रहे हैं या हो रहे हैं.
कैसे होता है ना, local fishermen are the local natives of any place. Even if it's Gujarat or Mumbai, they are the actual residents of the city. Right? If it's a Mumbai Kohli community, they are the actual residents. We are all maybe infiltrators for them. Even they call us today. And their knowledge of sea, the depth of knowledge which they carry about sea, the entire topography, it's like back of the palm. So they becomes a very important cue in the entire network. So they were every time it happens, when such scenarios happen, they are the first one who may not be directly involved, but they form the eyes and nose of the first level, the customs or the navy or the coast guard. So the entire channel was active. And good thing about what Navy did was pre-preparation. The moment they knew that there is a conflict, and when Saurabh, the first incident with Saurabh happened, Saurabh Kalia, from then on, the Navy started. Thanks to the leadership, it was amazing leadership which was displayed by Navy that time.
Okay. So, as you just mentioned about Saurabh Kalia sir and his troops, I do have a couple questions with regards to that. So, my very first question is that there was an approach for actually asking UN to intervene for this reckless action and inhuman action by Pakistan Rangers. So why was, like, as per you, no action taken on that? Why was it never entertained? Even ICG never intervened.
Yeah, in fact, that's the unfortunate thing, like I know Senior Kalia sir, like we speak, but Saurav happens to be my course equivalent.
Okay.
Saurav uh, is my army course equivalent. So irrespective of branches you are or fraternity you are, the equivalents become like a course mate. So whenever have spoken to Saurav's father, Dr. Kalia, even today it pinches them. Why a country with so much of prowess and we even today when Kargil War is taken, Saurav's and his colleagues' name always it comes up. Then why the action was not taken? And the Geneva Convention is very very clear about things. When you are
Yes.
taken as POW, and unfortunately it didn't happen. I don't know the reason why. What stopped us from doing that? I don't know the reason why UN also didn't act on it. Even today, he's fighting that case.
Yes.
That's the pretty unfortunate part. I may not know the entire fact, but uh, it pinches me somewhere. कि, हम इतना बोलते हैं, we're so strong. As a soldier, we totally believe in the fraternity backing up us. I don't know what went wrong in this case. I know justice हमेशा मांगेगा. Saurav
Yes.
and those five people, because the families know. आप और हम भूल जाएंगे. We may talk over it whenever the Kargil month comes, that 3 months. We will speak about Saurav and his men. But the pain which with Dr. Kalia and his family leave, that would be eternal. That would be eternal. They didn't deserve this. Saurav and his men didn't
Yes.
deserve this. It pains. Ajbi when we speak. Uh, that time I was in shift when we used to get the news, and we all were so pained. How can someone do like that?
Yes.
कैसे हो सकता है करके? Unfortunate. Unfortunate is the answer.
So like even today, like I just asking your views on it. Like if we talk about ICJ, like this is acting quite proactively on some issues between countries and continents. So is there any kind of scope that ICJ would intervene besides UN and UHRC for
यार
Saurav Kalia sir's
इंटरवीन
case?
होना होता तो अभी तक कर लिया होता. We are talking
Okay.
24 years,
Yes.
and Dr. Kalia would have gone at each door. He would have knocked every door. Uh, so my view is probably this may not happen. This may not happen. This will be, ये ऐसे ही रह जाएगा. This purely my view until see leadership को भी यही होगा ना यार. 24 साल हो गया. Let us focus on our thing करके.
Okay.
And होना होता तो हो क्या होता. This purely my view again. I'm sure if something comes up and something, we all will be very happy.
Right.
But consider our role as the army. हमने whenever they were POWs and whenever anything happened to the Pakistani soldiers, we had given them a decent burial, a soldier's burial, including the last salute.
Yes.
Including the last salute, we have given them. So I don't know. पाकिस्तान के लिए ये था ना, पहले they were not accepting that Pakistanis as intruder.
Yes.
They have intruded us. They were saying कि कोई terrorist है, ये है, वो है, till pretty long, उसके बाद everything started. So yeah, pretty sad ऐसे हुआ.
Absolutely. So just jumping on to one more situation wherein this ship came in, with North Korean ship, and one was actually acquired by Indian Navy. Were there more ships? क्या ऐसे और भी ships आए थे जो कि supplies लेकर आ रहे थे for Pakistan?
और ऐसे कहते हैं, like fact तो नहीं पता, but we read through articles, we read through books. So the book which I had read and articles which I had read by I would not name, but there is an article, Navy में एक article है, उसमें कहा गया था बहुत सारे ऐसे ships थे, wherein we have detained several ships. फिर क्या होता है, geopolitical interest होते हैं, various countries have
Yes.
geopolitical interest. when it comes to India or Pakistan. And I was asking in my podcast, I was asking a very senior officer, कि, will this settle? कभी settle होगा क्या? तो सर ने बोला था इंडिया पाकिस्तान कभी नहीं settle होगा, whether you like it or not. You know, and he's a very senior strategist because each countries have interest in and India being now, if you see India, is a different India what we have seen 10 years, 15 years back. And future is India. Everyone, you would have seen the way US is responding now or any country. So if India is going to be that big, no one would like a peace and harmony in this country. You know? So some of the other sources things will happen. So similarly, that time there were so many countries who were already in the sea. They were trying to help Pakistan, and we had detained many of the merchant ships. North Korean ship was detained, had come out in public, but they were ships from other countries which were also detained.
Okay.
Which never became public, you know.
Okay.
Again, this is an internal article in Navy, so I am not supposed to talk about it.
Completely understand. So talking about American pressure on Pakistan, how did that had an impact on Pakistan's operational capability?
You're talking abhi ya tabhi ka?
So तभी during Kargil कि तब बहुत प्रेशर था यूएस का पाकिस्तान पे एक टाइम पे.
So US ka, you know, it's a very well-known fact now that they were the people who were backing them throughout. And you know, when the international presence happened, so when the intrusion thing started playing, when the world got to know that there is an intrusion factor which happened, there was a pact between India and Pakistan which was broken. You know, the fact that when the winter sets in, both the armies go back from that post and they will come only after that. And then the Saurav's incident, of course, that caught the world on how. So there was a huge pressure towards the, I think towards the month of July, if I'm not wrong, July 1999, there were a lot of talks, there were a lot of intervention from the US. I won't say that operational capability pe kuch hua hoga because Pakistan per se was disoriented. You know,
okay.
Nawaz Sharif was saying something and Pervez Musharraf was saying something. They were not in coordination, and probably Pervez Musharraf has become much bigger than Nawaz Sharif itself. Nawaz Sharif made a statement in public that I don't know what is happening. Karke, they doesn't inform me or something. There was a statement which was made. तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि वो प्रेशर से कुछ हुआ होगा. Probably yes, the pressure which we had built up, or they would not have expected such a resistance from the Indian army. So ये जो war है, Kargil War, is considered as one of the, of course, 1971 had its own you know, thing to say, but 1999 was a war which was won purely on grit, guts, and determination. It was not a war, a conventional war. It was a war on mountains, wherein someone was already having an advantage. तो जैसे T20 के final में होता है ना, the first team gets to play twice. अगर हार जाता है तो he get 2 chances. So Pakistan had that chance. वो तो ऊपर ही बैठे थे. You know? And hats off to our soldiers and men. You know, soldiers and officers who were there. यार पता है कि आपको ऊपर से लोग पत्थर मार रहे हैं, बंदूक मार रहे हैं, आर्टिलरी मार रहा है. Still, you have to motivate so many people to take along with you, and then to fight and kill them. You know, amazing. So that is what our country is. We live on somebody's sacrifices. So many sacrifices. So today, you know, people call me as nationalist. I'm pretty okay. I'm very happy when I get trolled for being a nationalist. And
so that's
why
more or
not?
less a compliment.
Exactly. They say, you know, you speak only about, and I'm pretty happy to be that and will be like this only because ये तो फौज में कारगिल वॉर और 71 और 65 और उसके पहले ये तो फौजी है विसे की फौज. उसके पहले जो फ्रीडम फाइटर्स है, so many unknowns जिसके बारे में किसी को पता ही नहीं है. Everyone has played their part, you know, small role. So we live, हम लोग जो आज जी रहे हैं किसी के sacrifices, किसी फैमिली के सैक्रिफाइसेस उसकी वजह से हम सब साथ ले रहे हैं. एंड देन देयर आर सो मेनी आइडियोलॉजीज एंड पीपल सेइंग नेशनल एंथम में खड़ा नहीं रहना है, and ये that makes your blood boils, you know.
So after
Yes.
all, they don't understand, no, that serving the nation is an emotion, not a job.
Exactly. It's not at all an emotion. It's not at all a job. मुझे भी कोई बोलता है सर फौज में आप जॉब करते हो. No, it's not a job. जॉब करना होता तो फौज थोड़ी ना ज्वाइन करता ना. So
A person just doing a job will never sacrifice his or her life.
exactly. Because कारगिल वॉर या कोई भी आज भी जब यहाँ पे people serving in northeast or people serving in J&K, they know every day कि कुछ भी हो सकता है. And अगर बोल दो कि you have to go there and there is some 5-6 terrorists there, within we don't even think कि
Yes.
क्या है करके क्या होगा मुझे. Nothing. Once you are into it, you are into it. Simple. That's it.
So did you ever get a chance to get as a detachment serve in J&K for any CI ops?
No, nothing. I didn't get a chance, but as I said, since I was with the Marcos unit there, I knew of my seniors and मुझे वो जब भी आते डिप्लॉयमेंट में या जाते तो मुझे पता चलता. We used to mess में बैठ के debrief होता कि what exactly happens there. नेवी का डिटैचमेंट, मार्कोस डिटैचमेंट इज देयर इन द वुलर लेक में होता है डिटैचमेंट. And one very close senior who was like only 1 year senior to me, he's a dear friend now, very senior officer. वो उनसे तो मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा है, like what exactly happened, terrorist attack कैसे होता है, क्या ये होता है, how they go for off. So when you hear them, you leave that moment. अच्छा है करके. That was the closest. Otherwise, my posting has been, Navy है तो mostly metros मिल जाता है, metros और या B2 city types होता है ना. So I spent my 10 years across this side rather towards the west and the east coast. First posting of course east coast.
So just a couple more questions with regards to Kargil and UN. Very first question: why is it so that जो efforts and जो operation, that is Operation Talwar from Navy's end, right, which was run, it was a secret thing, or if not a secret, I would say a silent operation performed by it. It was never highlighted. Why is that so? जबकि तीनों forces equal हैं.
Yeah, so as you rightly said, the second line, silent, is the more appropriate. And if you read Admiral Sushil Kumar's book, Sir was the Navy chief then, and then it was purposely said to be a silent one.
Okay.
Only time when we made noise was हमने 33 ship deploy कर दिए करके. Otherwise, it was meant to be kept as a silent affair. Because ये क्या होता है ना, Army media was covering entire thing. Air Force के जो भी थे, media was covering, but covering a naval exercise or a naval deployment is not that easy for media also. So we remained a backseat, and we remained a very strong backup for I have been asked this question in many podcasts कि how come Navy, Kargil War है तो आप क्यों Kargil medal पहनते हो? So that is the understanding of people in our country, unfortunately.
Right. Exactly.
And that is what our role is to tell them. So Kargil War was never a Kargil War. It is Operation Vijay,
Yes.
For Army it was Operation Vijay, Navy it was Operation Talwar, and Air Force it was Operation Safed Sagar. Right? It was a tri-services war. It was a tri-services war. Equally, that too. Only the major things since it happened at mountain, and that too the entire sector of Kargil, Dras, Batalik, jo bhi hai. Majority of the things happened in Kargil. That's why popularly the media termed it as Kargil War. ये जो कारगिल वॉर है मीडिया का कॉइन किया हुआ है, इसलिए कारगिल वॉर 1999. तो सब कुछ उसमें डिबंक हो गया, with that. The magnanimous of Operation विजय जो है वो सिर्फ एक कारगिल तक ही सीमित कर दिया. बट थ्रू आउट दैट प्री वॉर, जो वॉर के पहले भी बहुत कुछ हुआ है, पोस्ट वॉर वी हैड लॉस्ट मेनी पीपल बिकॉज ऑफ द माइंस एंड अदर थिंग. तो that was the thing. So war में कैसे होता है? Anybody who directly involved in war is part of that, the legacy, what we call. So if you are at a front area, you get to wear the star, that Vijay Star medal. And if you are in the war, in any role, you get the other medal called Operation Vijay medal. So yes, so that is a myth which I wanted to clear to all the audience, that it was a tri-services war. That's it.
So one question, I do have a couple of questions for the medals as well. But before that, I said I have one question left for UN. So there's one Article 7 that says that if a country or any contingent, a continent, sorry, pull ups any activity जो कि peace हटाता है, destruction लाता है, तो उसके against action लिया जाता है. And especially जहाँ पे inhuman activities भी होती हैं. Again, referring to Saurabh sir's and his troops conditions जो 9th May को वापस जब आए थे, 9th June को. So question is like, was it not implemented, the Article 7 of UN?
It was not. It was not. अगर वो आर्टिकल अगर इम्प्लीमेंट होता, आज डॉक्टर कालिया would not have run around so many things इतने सालों से. So I don't know why it was not done, because so it is very, very clear there is an article, and if you are party to that UN agreement, if a country is party to that UN agreement, you have to follow the protocols, right? That protocols have to be followed, and UN as a governing body has every right to take that action. तो मुझे भी कभी कभी लगता है जैसे रशिया यूक्रेन का भी देखा या क्या, आई डोंट नो हाउ सीरियसली पीपल टेक a protocol from a neutral body, जैसे बोलते हैं ना.
Right. Yes.
So that itself is a challenge now.
Okay. Right. So moving on to the section where I'm actually asking a couple of questions for medals. So 2003 and 4, it was a time when you received the commendation by the flag officer of Western Naval Command. And in 2006 with the prestigious Chief of Naval Staff commendation. Would you like to share something about that?
So yes, so the commendation card is the next thing in terms of the awards and accolades which come after the gallantry awards or things like that, right?
Yeah.
So 2003, when I was posted in Mumbai, I got, so that was a technical posting, and I said I was in a technical center called Commando Center of the Yard. So see, traditionally what happens in a ship is when you are in a repair yard, so naval dockyard is run by the workers and supervisors, or the workforce. They are government employees. They have a traditional way of working. They are governed by Factory Act and unions and other things. So one job in a ship, एक ship के side पे अगर हल पे कुछ problem हो जाता है, to reach to that place, to repair that place, there is various work centers involved. Electrical, hull, paneling, बहुत सारे. तो एक work जो technically जल्दी हो जाना चाहिए, it used to take 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Okay. Because of the various issues with the workers, the work centers. And then we formed this workforce called Commando. We had people from all the trades. So it was like a swift, jao tuck 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 karke aa jao. Young lot, not much experience, but young lot. And we had people from all the trade, or we established that. Jo job 7 दिन लगता था, we reduced it to 2-3 hours. Okay. And that was the time I was, being a young officer, I was leading then. And so my first commendation happened to be in 2003. Subsequently, many such things which saved lots and lots of time for Navy. 2004 again, I received, because there was a ship from Maldives which had come, and Maldives or Mauritius, I guess. Yeah. And they were expecting their job would not be done in 1 month. We did that job within 5 days. So various technical things, and that year I had saved somebody's life also. There was accident to a civilian, and I was on duty in dockyard, and we took some proactive action. So life of 2 person was saved that time. So for this I got my second commendation. And of course, because of my nature of work and things like that, and it was purely technical contribution. So again, I was recommended for the Chief of Naval Staff commendation, 2006. So very unusual. I'm not saying that, मैं ऐसे कोई great या तोप तलवार हूँ. Right people noticed it at the right time, and I was commended within a span of 4 years, 3 times.
Okay.
That was 3, 4, and 6. 3, 4, and 6. Yeah. Which is an achievement, to be very frank. So that happened.
Indeed, sir. So last question, and the question is that, as per just what I researched for, currently Pakistan holds 31 fleet units. Like, how was Pakistan's condition back then?
Sorry, I couldn't get the question. फिर से बोलेगा?
At present, Pakistan 31 fleet units hold karta, sir. So
Correct.
what was the condition back then? Like, how advanced was Pakistan back then?
See, 1965, when the partition happened and things, the 47 में partition हुआ, उसके बाद का if you see, till 1965, Pakistan was much ahead in terms of naval assets and prowess compared to us in terms of submarines and things like that. After 65, when they bombed Okha, tab jaake, we started purchasing the Osaka class and other class ships from the USSR and things like. We started building the naval asset. But Pakistan was still a formidable force in 1971 and even 1990. Right? They had decent assets. Pakistan compared to us. By 1999, we had moved much ahead. That time already the India built things had started. Abhi if you see the Atmanirbhar Bharat and all, lot of ships have been built. But 99 से भी जब से 90s में जब globalization open हुआ, उसके बाद से our yards started building ships.
Okay.
The GSL or the HSL or the GRSC or the CSL, जो भी yards है India के shipyards, they had started building our own ships. चालू हो गया था उसका. अभी तो it's in a multiple of. अभी तो Pakistan Navy, compared to Pakistan Navy, we are at a much different level. But 99 we were at par. We're at par. Plus minus में होंगे, compared to VA. Yeah, so I think they were a good naval unit then also.
Okay.
But time nahi mila, so their focus shifted totally to other things. And Pakistan kaise na, this a disturbed country always.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, fortunately for them, fortunately, I won't say we. हम उसके हिस्से नहीं जीते ना कि fortunate है नहीं है. We know our power, we are there. Pakistan as a country is very difficult. अब आगे चल के क्या होगा, God only knows. There is a talk that they will further partition into four main lands and things. A lot of things are going. Economically, they are going down.
So these are the questions from my end, sir. Would you like to say anything? Anything extra?
So questions, again, as I said, it is purely my view, and it is as per my view, which I know. मेरा भी knowledge बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है in terms of, because so many things we are privy to few things which we know, because there would be n number of things. Strategy बनती है तो that's why they are there to make strategy. There are senior people who make strategy, and they have think tank, they have access. So मुझे जितने मेरे डोमेन में जितना मालूम है या जब मालूम है, that is what I am saying. Just purely personally my view. I may be wrong, I may be right, but I know what the best I am saying, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sparing time and
thanks.
being a part of this session.
Thanks, Irwin. And let me be very frank. It's a very good questions which you had asked.
Thank you.
There have been hundreds of podcasts, live, on live, TEDx, and this is one good set of questions you had researched, and it was pretty interesting to answer things, more of technical things. And
Thank
you
you.
also didn't ask me very sensitive things also, which I appreciate, and as a podcaster, it is very, very important to do the research, which not many podcasters do, directly. Jaake. See, podcasting is a big thing which is going to happen. So I appreciate the set of questions you asked, and close to 1 hour 20 minutes we spent.
Yes.
Laga nahi ki how time went. Thanks
Exactly.
for all the questions, and wishing you all the best. And whenever this podcast is ready, do let me know. We'll share.
Sure, sir. Means a lot. Thank you so much.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
so
Take
much,
care.
Vijay.
Bye.
Jai Hind.
Bye. Jai Hind. Take care.